breathe, and imagine this impossible question. What if the dead were given just 24 hours to come back to life? Not forever, not to relive youth, not to correct everything. Just 24 fragile hours. No wealth, no status, no title, only truth. If the dead could return for one day, they wouldn't waste it on pleasure. They wouldn't chase applause. They wouldn't argue on social media. They would run, because time would be chasing them. What would they fix first? The pastor would not preach for offerings. He would not preach for fame. He would not preach to impress. He would preach with tears. He would preach the message he watered down while alive. Holy language. The bitterness masked as righteousness. The pride disguised as spiritual authority. Because death exposes motive, not vocabulary. He would finally admit, I knew the truth, but I delayed obedience. And delay is disobedience in disguise. He would speak of repentance without fear of losing members. He would cry out the truth he once softened to stay comfortable. Because standing between life and death teaches one thing clearly. Truth delayed becomes truth denied. The parent would not ask about money, not about cars, not about houses. He would gather his children, the ones not speaking to each other, the ones fighting over land, the ones poisoning family group chats with bitterness. He would say, stop it. This thing you're fighting for almost buried me twice. Once in life, once in death. He would beg them to reconcile. Because from the grave, property looks very small, and love looks very urgent. The politician, oh, the politician, would not campaign, would not lie, would not promise roads he will never build. He would confess, publicly, painfully, without filters. He would name the stolen funds, the hospitals he left empty, the schools he abandoned, the people who died quietly because greed spoke louder than conscience. Why? Because death strips power naked, and naked power always confesses. The suspense. Why would they act so differently? Because death reveals a terrifying truth. Chance. The grave is not a negotiation table. The coffin has no rewind button. Funerals don't accept apologies. Tombstones don't hear promises. The dead know something the living keep forgetting. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Character is. A quiet but heavy question. If the dead were allowed to speak for 24 hours, they would not ask for miracles. They would beg for moments. One more moment to tell the truth. One more moment to choose integrity. One more moment to hug someone without pride in the way. And here you are, alive, with moments overflowing, yet postponing what matters. If the dead returned, the husband would apologize first. The wife would forgive faster. Friends would stop counting who offended who last. Because when time is short, pride becomes stupid. Why are we waiting? Here is the most painful question of all. Why are we waiting for death to teach us how to live? Why wait to say I'm sorry when your mouth still works? Why wait to forgive when your heart still beats? Why wait to tell the truth when your conscience is still awake? Why wait to do right when you are still breathing? The tragedy is not that people die. The tragedy is that many people live as if they will never die, and die as if they never truly lived. Listen to this truth, even if it hurts. You are not too young to die. You are not too important to die. You are not too busy to die. Death does not check calendars. It does not respect plans. That is why wisdom says, do not live as if you are permanent. Live as if you are prepared. The core message, the time is now. Listen carefully. The apology you are postponing, do it now. The truth you are hiding, say it now. The love you are withholding, show it now. The wrong you are defending, leave it now. The life you are wasting, Redeem it now, because the dead would give anything to have what you have at this moment. One more chance to choose right. The final wake-up call is the dead had 24 hours. They would beg the living not to wait. So let me ask you, quietly, seriously, honestly, if tonight were your last night, would your conscience sleep peacefully? Would your family remember love or conflict? Would your legacy speak truth or excuses? There are not always second chances. It is always this moment. And this moment is enough, if you choose wisely. If the dead had 24 hours, they would use every second wisely. You have more than 24 hours, right now. So ask yourself, honestly, if today were suddenly reduced to your last day, would you be proud of how you spent it? Remember, you brought nothing. You will take nothing. But what you do now will echo far beyond you. Do the right thing. Not tomorrow, not later, not one day. Now. Imagine traveling back in time, not yesterday, but 20 years ago. You are younger, stronger, full of hope, standing at the crossroads of life. You are given the rarest opportunity of all, to choose again. Rewrite. If many people could go back 20 years, they would not repeat the same decisions. They would choose a different partner. They would avoid marriages that slowly drained their joy. They would walk away from red flags they once called love. They would choose a different career. They would not ignore their gifts. They would not trade purpose for quick money. They would choose a different country, different friends, different habits, different priorities. And almost everyone would say the same painful sentence: if only I knew then what I know now. The painful truth, but it can never happen. Here is the reality we must face, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. Time does not reverse. The past does not edit itself. Yesterday does not respond to regret. Replay memories in your mind, but you cannot replay life. The words already spoken cannot be unsaid. The wrong choices already made cannot be undone. The years already spent cannot be reclaimed. And that truth hurts, because regret is loud when silence finally comes. Why this thought should shake you? Think carefully. Many people today are living with the consequences of choices made 10, 15, 20 years ago. A marriage chosen without wisdom, a career chosen without purpose, a lifestyle chosen without discipline, friends chosen without discernment. And now they wake up every day asking, how did I get here? Not because they were evil, but because they were careless. Not because they were foolish, but because they thought there would be time. Later. The most dangerous lie we believe. The most dangerous lie is not failure. It is not hardship. It is not even ignorance. The most dangerous lie is this: I'll fix it later. Later I'll change. Later I'll choose better. Later I'll leave what is destroying me. Later I'll start again. But later quietly turns into never. And one day you wake up realizing you are now living in the later you once postponed. But now, you are still in time. Here is the part that should awaken you, not depress you. You may not be able to go back 20 years, but you are standing in someone else's past right now. 20 years from now, you will look back at today, and the question is not, regret? The real question is, what kind of regret will I have? Regret of trying and failing? Or regret of never trying at all? The wake-up call. Choice is still yours. Listen carefully. You cannot amend the past, but you can redeem the present. You cannot rewrite yesterday, but you can write wisely today. You cannot undo old decisions, but you can stop making the same ones. The future you will complain about tomorrow is being built by the choices you make now. On marriage, career, and life decisions, if you are choosing a partner now, choose with wisdom, not pressure. Choose character over charm. Choose peace over appearance. If you are in a marriage already, Do what is right now. Heal where possible. Break, 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 break. Set boundaries where necessary. Grow where you are. If you are choosing a career, don't just ask, how much will it pay? Ask, what will it cost my soul? If you are choosing where to live, how to live, and who to walk with, choose with the understanding that time will not explain your decisions for you later. The heavy reality: life doesn't pause. Life does not pause while you decide. It moves every second. And every second you delay doing right is a second you will wish you had back. People often say, life is short. No, life is not short. Life is precise. It gives you exactly the amount of time you need to become who you chose to become. The final charge: do the right thing now. So hear this, slowly and clearly. If you need to change, start now. If you need to leave, leave now. Forgive. Forgive now. If you need to work harder, work now. If you need to realign your life, begin now. Not tomorrow, not next year, not when it's convenient. Because convenience has never built a meaningful life. Closing, a question you must answer. One day, without warning, today will become a memory. And you will look back and ask, did I do the right things when I still could? You may not be able to go back 20 years, but you can make sure that 20 years from now, you won't wish you could come back to this moment and beg yourself to change. Do the right thing now. The past cannot be amended, but the future is still listening.